We touched a little bit on it, so I have some questions because I know that we both are like introverted people, but how do you like approach networking events? And I think this is like a pretty important question now that like things are opening up, even though like
yes,
I don't know, it's iffy, but like
yes.
yeah, how did you are you like how do you get through those as an introverted person?
Yeah, I think you, as you know, that is like saying the least. I'm very, very introverted. I can be pretty shy too, like fairly quiet, like when I'm kind of like getting to know someone. So it's definitely, and that is that is tough in this industry. It just is, you are expected, especially I found like on set, you are really kind of expected to put yourself out there if you want to form relationships and connections. And I just found that, I have to push myself. I mean, that is kind of the best way I can really put it. It's not easy for me. I don't know if it'll ever be easy for me, but it's gotten easier. And it's really just from doing it and from practice. I find the more that I let myself stay comfortable and not do something, it hinders me, and it makes it harder. Like the less I do it, the harder it is. The more I do it, the easier it is. So I definitely found that even as much as I don't want to go to those networking events, I mean, it's a weird feeling because I do want to go to them and I want to meet people and talk to people. I do like to socialize. It's just, as an introvert, it's just hard. It's hard to describe. I have, my comfort zone that I just very much like to stay in, and to go out, and those are out of it, those are out of my comfort zones, just as someone with really bad social anxiety and all of that, fun stuff. It's not the easiest. So I would not call myself a social butterfly. So I definitely just push myself, and I found the best thing to do is at those events, or is just kind of to walk around the room and talk to people. It sounds simple, but for me it's not, but it's very much about going around the room and just, if there's someone standing by themselves, talk to that person. Like that's a big one that I found, and that came from networking events, that came from working on set on the first day on a set. I kind of made relationships just by like, oh, that person's also standing there alone and doesn't seem to know anyone. Let me go talk to them. And most of the time they're relieved. They're like happy to talk to you too. They want someone to talk to as well. And yeah, at networking events, that's just kind of what I learned, is talk to people who are by themselves. If you don't see that many people by themselves, or if you already talked to those people, try a group of two you see. It is definitely nerve-wracking for me, but I've definitely found the more you do it, the easier it gets. And people are normally very open to bringing you into their conversation if it is more than one person. Because that's always something I get very in my head about, is, oh God, they don't want me interrupting them or something like that. But again, most of the time that really is just in your head, and people want to talk to you too. And so that's what I would say for the most part.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. I mean, like, I think I do the same thing too. Like I've been able to just spot in the room like other introverts or other shy people, and like And like that's usually like my in. And unfortunately though, like it is usually people who are like also students, at least when I first started. So, and I think that's fine. And like you said, like it's kind of like a little bit like an exposure therapy thing. I kind of relate it
Yeah.
to like roller skating actually. Like it's just like obviously doing something new, as simple as like skating backwards is like really, really scary. But like just the more that you do it, the less scary it is. And then you just get better at it. But like
Yeah.
I think that's kind of also how I see introversion, especially after like the pandemic, like after being like,
Yeah.
or at least in quarantine because the pandemic is still happening, but like being inside and not really socializing or seeing anybody for like months, and then all of a sudden everybody wanting to hang out, I realized
Hmm.
I was not used to expending that much energy to spend time with people. But like before that, I was able to at least go out once a week. And it's just like I guess building up that kind of social muscle.
Oh yeah.
It's like, yeah, I mean, we like being social. It's just that it like takes more energy. It's kind of like how some people
Exactly.
are just like talented at basketball. Like,
Right.
it just takes like more practice on our end at least. And
Yeah.
I think that's fine knowing that about yourself. And that's, I think, another thing too, like not to be too hard on yourself when you're at these events. Like, even if you may have a goal to be like, find one person who like has a job opening, like, I don't know, that's not
Right.
really a goal, but like,
Sure.
even if you have a goal and you don't meet it, like, it's okay to, um, if you don't, because I think, I don't know, I think like these networking events are just kind of like um, a chance thing, you know? Like
Yeah.
they're not um, they're not set up in a way for you to like have to achieve something at them really.
Yeah.
Although some people may like, and I think it's important to be cognizant of that. Like other people who may be like years ahead of you in career, like maybe they're there to like make a sale or like
Yeah.
establish like a very important contract. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
And like it's totally fine if those people rebuff you because like they clearly have a very direct objective there. But
Yeah.
for the most part, like you're saying, like people are just kind of like want to meet other folks. So
Yeah. No, that's very much true. I mean, at the end of the day, I think is if someone is there, they want to meet people too. And and like what you said, kind of going off what you said in there, like it's true. Like sometimes a networking event will go so well and you like met a ton of people and you've met someone who is like wants to help you like with job opportunities. I've had both, where I met someone who was like really very willing and ready to like help me like with jobs and stuff because I put myself out there and I, had kind of said my situation, which was at that time I had quit my like more full-time job to start freelancing. And I told this girl who was at the networking event and she was like, oh, my boyfriend is a freelance, and he's working right now as a script coordinator on this show. Like, you should talk to him. And, and that was like a really great situation. And then there were other events where, I talked to some people and that was it. And that was okay too, they're all, I think at the end of the day, it's very much just about the more you do it and the more you go to them, the better, because it's not always going to be like a perfect scenario. It's just how it is. It can be completely a dud or not, but at the end of the day, it's you can see it as a good opportunity to, at the very least, you faced a fear, if you are afraid to do something like that. I think for me, big time, that's what it is. It's like, okay, well, at least I went, because I do have a tendency after, if there's one where I'm like, oh, I didn't put myself out there enough, like, oh man, I have a tendency to beat myself up. But at the end of the day, there's a reason to do that, because at least you put yourself out there and you did try, and you yeah, and I think that's the best thing you can do. So for me, yeah, I would say, yeah, networking events can be kind of like almost a numbers game, in the sense that, like, go to as many as you can. If you have the opportunity, do it, and push yourself if you can.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think that's all the questions that I have for you today.
Sure.
Was
Yeah,
there any
absolutely.
questions you had for me, I guess, or anything that I might have missed?
Well, I mean, I just want to hear more about your mentorship journey, because I know, like, for me, I have like one main mentor, and then I have like other little like mentors I've had kind of in the past, and then mainly just like relationships in terms of like connections. But for
Mhm.
you, I feel like I've heard from you that you have like definitely, I really admire you, because you've had a lot of like relationships that you kind of go in, and you like mentorships that I like, you've like where you've just met someone that you have some kind of tie to. It doesn't even have to be an alumni. And I just love to hear more about that journey from you a little bit.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so my college career was pretty like iffy. I mean, I started off at Davis as a biomedical engineer, and like my first 2 years at college were like a wild roller coaster because I was just like, I don't get it. Like, I'm bad at all these classes, and like, I don't know what I want to do anymore. And like, just kind of having a breakdown. And then I found the design program, and like, I don't know, it just kind of like fit. And I still remember my very first design class, and like, well, not my very first one, I think. At least like design like one. And like, it was like a huge lecture class. And it was like the professor was speaking, and I remember he had like a cold that day, so he had like this big scarf on. But like the class was still very like I thought it very inspiring to me, and like I remember feeling like I think like I can see myself doing this program and being a designer, and so I remember introducing myself to him after that class, and it was really scary because like I mean there were other students who were also up there wanting to introduce themselves, and like I think the only thing that kind of was pushing me to do that was that like I knew that I was starting this program kind of late. It was like towards the end of my sophomore year, and like my goal was to graduate in 4 years, so I had to really kind of rush to like look at all the program units and stuff. And
Oh
so
man.
there must have been something at least about that motivation to cause me to be like, okay, I have to like establish relationships with my professors so that like I can do well in this program. And I don't know if he remembers that day, but like I remember it vividly. And it just so happened he also like became my mentor along the road because I took many classes with him, and I went to a lot of his office hours. And um, he also is just the type of professor to also want to be a mentor to his students. So his office hours are not just about like the upcoming tests or projects like that. It's also he'll answer any questions people may have about like their portfolios or like their thoughts about career or their thoughts about design. And that is kind of how I see mentorships being. So that was kind of my start. And
Yeah.
yeah, and it was nice because he also, because of that relationship, like, I don't know, I think I always felt like I at least had somebody who was like, I looked up to, who was cheering me on within my industry or at least within my field. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was nice. Although like
Mm.
they didn't have like connections for me after like I graduated, like um, they at least like were very open to like writing me letters of recommendation. Um,
Sure.
that professor in particular was always like down on my references if I ever needed to put that down.
Oh.
So like, yeah. But then like, and I think that mentorship as a student is very much like geared towards like what it is that I want to do after college and like what that kind of success looks like. Because when you're in like the academic system, you kind of already have like these established milestones and metrics for success. Whereas you go out into the fields, like all you kind of have is like whether you get a job or not. But then like when you do get a job, like how do you know like you're being successful or like you're going in the way that you want to in your career, you know? So
Definitely.
that's kind of how I've been experiencing mentorship now is like not just like people helping me on the job, like technical wise, like learning new skills and new programs, but also kind of what, and this looks different for everyone, but figuring out like for myself what it is that motivates me at my job, like what kind of work is meaningful. Like as thankful as I am to be in themed entertainment, which is like a really fun and awesome industry, like there are also parts of it that are like kind of arbitrary and also parts that are like really motivate me and that are important to me. And
Yeah.
finding that stuff out, like you don't really understand as a student until you're actually working in that environment, right? So
Definitely.
I hope that's not like also too vague. Like, um,
No.
but yeah, and like so now I think my mentor, like I just reach out to people a lot. Like I cold message
Yeah.
people on LinkedIn. I think it's totally valid. Like
Yes.
as long because I also don't feel bad if people just don't answer me. I know that can cause a lot of other people anxiety, but I know at least
Yes.
for me, I don't because I forget sometimes if I message someone. So if I don't hear
Yeah.
from them, I'll just kind of move on. Um, and I
Yeah.
usually just try to, yeah, kind of be like, well, I messaged you specifically because like I saw we have this similar background or something specific like that. So it doesn't seem like you're just sending out messages to whoever
Right.
pops up on your feed. But yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
definitely. I think
Hmm.
that's great. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, it's always good if you message someone or reach out, to just have some, purpose to that message, just something like you said, like, I see that we have a similar, whatever it is, maybe whatever it may be, especially if you're doing it through LinkedIn, if it is a somewhat, a cold message, it is great to, yeah, just like establish the similarities off the bat, I think. And yeah, what you do is what you have done with like messaging people and stuff is definitely one I hear all of the time, and that I've done as well. And it can never hurt. You can either hear back or you don't hear back. No one, and if you don't hear back, it's probably not personal. I mean, it's most likely pretty much not personal. Like it is definitely normally just because maybe
Yeah.
they're just busy or they've got too many messages or something like that. So
Yeah. I
let's
also
see.
just learned that like um I don't know if other people probably know this because other people are smarter than me, but like like it's actually pretty smart to manage your contacts. And like there are different ways to do it because there's all different kinds of ways to put in this information. But like so this app that I use is called Notion, Notion, and I've like been using it as like my general project management system for like both personal and also work life. And there's a template on it that helps with I think it's for like I think it's just kind of like a follow up template, and it all it is just a simple table. So you can even do this on Excel. And so like I'm thinking of doing this or starting this like whenever I reach out to somebody new, adding their name and contact to this table, and then like having another column that is like when you contact them, and then what after 3 months have passed, like that or whatever it is. Usually it's kind of 3 months depending on like your relationship with this person. Like you can follow up with them again.
Yeah.
And that way, like you kind of can remember to keep up those relationships because
That's
like
smart.
as you get more people as mentors, like it's very hard to kind of catch up with these people. So yeah, I'm thinking of doing that because they're definitely people who I started off with as mentors when I first started in this industry, and like I look at at our email chains, and like I literally only had emailed them like every New Year, and I'm always being like Happy New Year, and like it's it's fine. Some people like
Yeah.
they don't mind like a annual like catch up email, but like for others, sometimes it's better to keep people in your mind every 3 months. So 3 months
Yeah.
is also like a quarter, right? So um like a fiscal quarter. so like
Right.
so
Yeah.
like
That's a
you know,
great rule
things
of
can change
thumb.
in 3 months, and maybe they might need you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's so true. And yeah, I think that's really smart because that is something that I've found like through my time, like post, after graduating college and everything is, yeah, you meet people and they're you've like established something with them. And then maybe after a while you've let that like fall off and you haven't reached out to them in a while. And, and I have found that like I've reached out to people that, I used to talk to more after a while. And I think as long as you keep it friendly and professional, there's nothing wrong with trying that, because that's something that I get nervous about. It's like, oh gosh, I've let a lot of time go by since the last time I talked to this person. Like, oh no, or like whatever thought you may have about that. But again, I just think it's definitely, yeah, you can never hurt to try. And I think most people are open to it. So yeah, that's another thing too, is if a lot of time has gone by, whether it be just because you forgot about it or you just like kind of worked yourself up over like, oh man, okay, I don't know when to reach out again and too much time has gone by, Yeah, just
yeah.
try.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine and valid. Yeah, especially if like a lot of time has passed. I've realized like, and it's just easy for time to pass. Like I remember like there are people that I met at networking events, and like it'll be years since we talked, but like I don't know. I feel like um, I don't know. It's like
Yeah.
after college years is also just very like the time is slower.
Yeah.
just because like you
It's
don't
so
it's not
true.
like you when you're two, it's just like everybody's kind of on their own trajectory now, and so like it's totally fine if you take a
Yeah.
while to reach back out to them.
Yeah,
Like
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I was just gonna say that I think, yeah, like, um, I try to think about it as like what I tell myself is like, okay, if I was in this person's shoes, and someone reached out to me that I haven't heard from in a while, like, would I be annoyed? Would I be happy? Like, would I be like neutral? Like, how would I feel? And like, my answer is always like, oh, I'd love to hear from that person. And I think that's just a great way. I don't know. It's a good way to think about it. It's just like, yeah, like normally you like to hear from people. I think as long as you keep it friendly and, um, yeah, I'll keep it friendly and light. I think it's always good to try. So yeah.
yeah, totally. I think we're coming up on time now, so if there are
Yeah.
any other questions that you might have had, we can totally talk about it. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed speaking with you. I know we've been planning this for a while, so I'm just really happy that we
Yeah.
finally
No, me too. I loved having this time to just talk to you and talk about this a little more. And I hope that, yeah, I was able to bring some perspective to it for my own like personal career and journey and all of that. So yeah, definitely.
yeah. And as a mentee, are you also open to mentoring at least like others?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a big thing too, is like, you never, especially, yeah, when you're kind of like I am at least like still like just kind of more mid career, it's definitely, you don't think about it too much. But yeah, I'm definitely always open to that. And yeah, just giving people any kind of advice that I can. And so yeah, always feel free to reach out. And yeah, hopefully I can offer any perspective.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
and thank you so much, Sarah.
of course. Thank you.
And yeah, thanks everybody for joining in on our first episode of the Mentorship Series. We definitely will have more to talk about for this in the future. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to send it on over. You can contact us through Human Experience TV. We have a contact page. And then if you want to learn more about Harriet B's Daughters, which is like a networking support group, you can find us on harrietbdaughters.org. So yeah, thanks everyone. Bye.
Bye.